Hey everybody, this is Ned Talks, and we're talking with Radeon, Landlord Odyssey again. Give him a follow over on Landlord Odyssey on YouTube. Today, we're going to talk about market cycles, whether or not you need to be thinking about your psychology a little different on the ups or the downs. And what do you think, Radeon? Do you think differently about the way you look at deals when markets are up, or there's lots of hype and things are on fire and everything's getting 100 offers? And how'd you handle the last couple of years before things slowed down?
Well, so the past 3 years, which have been pretty wild, and for anyone that doesn't know, it's from 2020 to 2023, right? And for me, especially, I've learned a lot. In those past 3 years, I went from looking for properties for like almost 2 years to having two properties and 4 units in the last year. So I've learned a lot during these past 3 years. And starting out in 2020, I didn't have any down payment money. So the after 2020, when the prices went crazy, I did have some down payment money, but I was looking in New York, and every single property that I made an offer on, which must have been like 20 offers altogether that I made. Every single offer that I made had, I would say, like another 10 offers that were above asking. So it was a wild market, right? And none of my offers got accepted, even though some of my offers were over asking. And I'm
Were you
thankful
getting
for
like
that because
crushed
I
by
would have been
like
in.
a lot or
Yeah, it was by a lot. It was by a
yeah,
lot. In
yeah.
2020 and 2021, the prices skyrocketed, as you know, and the rates were extremely low, right? They were in the well, I refinanced my parents' house. We got like 2.6, so
Yeah.
it's crazy to think about it now, right? But I kept doing the work. I kept looking, and people were saying, "Oh, it's gonna crash. It's gonna crash." I know. I'm sure you remember that.
Yeah.
It's well, it did crash. I guess.
Well, they
The
had
stock
people in
market crashed
Texas who were
artificially.
they had people in Texas
Yeah.
who were putting offers in and they were like, "I'll name my firstborn child that." It was like, "What?" You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So
Uh
I'm thankful that none of my offers got accepted because I would have been an investor in New York, and don't really want to do that. And then that caused me to switch states and then keep doing the work. However, the market was still in the upswing, right? So I bought my first property in July of 2022.
yeah.
My rate was about 5.6 that I got, which at the time I thought, oh my God, this rate is so high, because all I knew was the
The
past
end of
two
the world,
years, the
man.
rate was 2.5, right? But kept doing the work, and it's probably what allowed me to buy that property because all the other quote unquote investors, they got scared from the rate, or they thought maybe it's going to crash at some point, right? So I want to say, being in an up market, which is all I've known as an investor, at least, because I've been alive in 2008. I know what happened, but I was doing completely different things. So being in an up market has worked out perfectly for me.
Yeah.
So that's all I have to say about that.
So, in your mind, when you saw things starting to slow down and change a little bit, and it looked like we're maybe going to swing to a down market or a slower market or whatever it is that's happening now, because it seems like we're just going sideways, and that's pretty much all we're going to see for a while.
Yeah.
Given that you haven't been, at least psychologically, in the state of the mindset of being an investor,
Mhm.
um, do you feel like a little creeping bits of doubt, or like
Oh
how do
yeah,
you
absolutely.
how do you combat that kind of stuff? Because I think a lot of people see content like this and think
Mhm.
that we're just bulls, perma bulls, never have any doubts, never think that, you know,
Oh, absolutely not, man.
yeah,
I think people like us, we have even more doubts than just a regular person who was not like waist deep in real estate. But So what was the question again? Sorry, I
What,
lost that.
like how do you deal with those doubts, the things that trip you up? Because I mean, I think a lot of people operate under the false impression, at least people that know me, and they're like, "Oh, dude, it seems like you got your shit together." Oh,
Mhm.
can't say that on YouTube, but you
That's all
got it
right.
together, man. It looks like you're just you're swinging for the fences, and I'm like, nah, I'm pretty sure it's going this way, but I've got all these things set up to where if things don't go well, I
Hmm.
have these other, I'm diversified as far as my tenants go.
Hmm.
I've locked in my mortgages. I've done all these things to prepare for it, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, did I do everything?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So for me, as a beginner with no properties, what was a game changer was the idea that the price of a property and the rate of your loan don't matter at all. Which was for me, it was wild to think of that as a beginner, right? Because you're as a layman person, when you think about real estate, you're like, oh, this is homes are so expensive, and like, oh, these rates are so high. Like, oh, this let's invest in. My friends used to say, let's invest in Pennsylvania. There's like homes for like 30,000. We could buy like 30 of them. And that was the talks we used to have, like as
That's
someone
a
who
good
doesn't
way to
know.
go
But
broke.
yeah, exactly. But then once you're in the spreadsheet every day, and you're looking at the numbers, and you're doing things right, and you're doing the work,
Yeah,
you're an actual real estate investor, then you realize, well, if the return is there, then who cares what the price is, right? Who
yeah.
cares what the rate is? So that was the game changer for me. And then I try to convey this to my friends like nonstop, but I send them a property, like, oh, it's too expensive. I'm like,
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah, I run into the same thing. Most buildings I've bought, people have been like, "Man, it's too expensive. The numbers don't make sense." And I'm like, "You don't know what the rent should be. You don't
Mhm.
know how out of repair the building is. Like, you don't know how easy this is going to be to fix. Like, how do you like? I think people just speak out of fear or just lack of knowledge.
It's definitely fear.
Yeah,
It's fear and not being prepared, right? You got to look at your market daily. You got to do the work, like the ORAD community says, right? Like Zuber, and you got to look at rents too. You got to have
yeah.
a rent box, like the lumberjack landlord says. You need a rent box and a buy box.
So there's this one quote that as I work in the energy, the oil and gas business, there's this quote that I'm sure some famous economist said at one time, but my boss, my uncle always says it. He goes, high prices are the cure for high prices and low prices are the cure for low prices. Is that true in real estate? Like, are high prices going to make prices come down or are low prices going to make prices? It seems kind of true over time.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think it's well, I haven't read this book, but are you familiar with Adam Smith, like the Wealth of
Yeah.
Nations? It's like
Yeah.
super super.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this
It's
is
a
literally
classic.
the invisible hand, right? If it actually was an, if it was all completely a capitalist system, the invisible hand, that's what it does, right? It moves the market as it sees fit, right?
So
So
it would be true if we didn't have that pesky Fed messing with everything.
yeah, we got the Fed, and we got rent stabilization, and we got a bunch of other things like that. But
Yeah.
that's in New
What?
York.
Well, y'all don't have rent stabilization in your state.
Nope, not here. No, we don't have that here. That's why I
They've
moved.
considered. Some people have pitched it in New Orleans. At least like they've. It's been there have been whispers. I don't think it's going to happen, but
Mhm.
um, yeah. So I mean, I think the key is it's funny because I one of my strongest memories when we first got in, or not when I first started working in the oil and gas business,
Mhm.
was I remember oil prices imploded like by like I can't remember what happened, but like something blew up in the Middle East or something bad happened and the prices did something
Mhm.
crazy. And I called my uncle and I was like, "What are we gonna do?" Blah blah blah. Blah. I started freaking out and this and
Mhm.
that, and he was like, "It doesn't matter." And I was like, "What do you mean it doesn't matter?" And he's like, "Because we don't do anything. No one does anything in a business unless they're a Wall Street guy, unless they're thinking about things over a 5 to 10 year period. And a blip for a day doesn't matter if you think about things over a long period of time."
Yep.
And so I think you got to look at real estate and most investing the same way. relax, kick back, look at over a 5 or a 10 or a 15 or year period or longer.
Yeah,
And
this is a long game, man. Most of real estate investing is just you just waiting around with like a pile of cash, just waiting.
or waiting for your pile of cash to grow so you can go make it smaller and get another building to make, you know, that's the most
Yeah.
boring part about real estate, I think, is the waiting between deals and the waiting between rehabs and fixer uppers and just improvements and
Yeah.
things like that. Especially in the beginning, there those times are so far apart. There's so much downtime that you feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah, absolutely. That's me right now. Well, I'm doing a bunch of rehabs, but
Yeah, but
other properties are coming in. So
just think when you finish though, you might have 1 to 2 years where you're just not doing much because you're just waiting to make your next moves, and that's
yeah,
okay.
absolutely. I'll be here on YouTube. I'll tell you all about it. Mhm.
All right. Well, that's I guess that's the psychology of investing in ups and down markets. I guess if you look at the real the guys have been doing real large deals and investing over long periods of time, the key is to kind of just not necessarily ignore the market, but kind of just ebb and flow with it and let it do its thing and not worry about it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
all right, everybody, give Radion a follow over at Landlord Odyssey. This is Ned Talks. Like and subscribe, and hope to see you next time.